What is up, Space Pirates? This is your captain, the Dread Pirate, Dr. Disaster, and it has been a rotten weekend for the film Madam Web. At one point, after the success of Venom, Sony may have believed that their Spider-Verse without Spider-Man was going to make them a ton of money, but the audience has a message for them.
Welcome to Earth.
Madam Web's opening weekend, all 3 days of it combined, did not bring in as much money as the opening day of Morbius. You all remember Morbius, don't you? A movie that was universally recognized as a box office catastrophe. Its opening day was better than Madam Web's entire opening weekend, but there might be a silver lining to all this bad news for Sony. Sony might have finally realized just how stupid it is to try to pander superhero movies to female audiences. I was just discussing this idea yesterday, and it may have finally dawned on them. It's pathetic that it took them this long to get it.
What took you so long, idiot?
Alright, me hearties, make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet, and while you're at it, follow me on Twitter. My handle there is Dr. Disaster1. But let's take a look at the abject failure of Madam Web, a movie so bad the lead actress hasn't even watched it yet. We have the numbers for its first several days at the box office. This comes to us courtesy of Box Office Mojo. We already knew that the movie had an abysmal first few days, but now we have the full opening weekend. Friday was an appallingly low $4,300,000. Saturday wasn't much better at just a little over $6 million, and then Sunday was roughly $4.5 million. If you add all that up, it comes to $15,150,000. Now, if we compare that to the box office of Morbius, you can see that this movie made a bit over $17 million on its opening day alone, beating out Madam Web's entire opening weekend. And for full context, the opening weekend for Morbius made over $39 million, over 2.5 times what Madam Web did at the box office. Things have gotten so bad that these stubborn bastards in Hollywood may have finally taken notice. They may have finally seen the light. Rumors are that Sony might have finally realized that comic book stories are largely followed by males. There is a massively male-skewing audience for these movies. Data suggests that even The Marvels, a movie featuring 3 female leads and a bunch of insufferable girl power, was watched by a vast majority of males at the theaters. So maybe, just maybe, these studios ought to stop pandering to their imagined audience and start pandering to their actual audience. This rumor about Sony comes from an article published by the website The Ankler. The article says, the hotly anticipated Silk Spider Society has paused its writers' room, releasing writers to pursue new work minus its showrunner, even as the show remains in active development, sources close to the show tell The Ankler. Okay, I'm gonna pause and say I don't know who's hotly anticipating the show, but until now, I've never even heard of it. But apparently, it's about a character called Silk, a Korean-American chick who gets bit by the same spider that made Peter Parker into Spider-Man. But Sony is producing this thing, which will apparently be released on Prime Video when it comes out. And they just put a pause on the writing process. We'll skip down to where it says, One source close to the series claims that Silk was being refocused with a more male-skewing audience in mind. Amazon had no comment. Well, of course Amazon had no comment. You know that if the roles were reversed, they wouldn't shut up about it. They'd be all about the girl power and the breaking of the glass ceiling and all that shit, but not now. Not when they're skewing male, they have to be quiet about that. They're just quietly following the advice that we've given them all along, like poor whipped pups with their pathetic tails tucked between their legs. The studio and its streaming arm Prime Video have found success with a number of male-skewing series, including Reacher, Jack Ryan, and The Terminal List, though more female-skewing young adult series such as The Summer I Turned Pretty have also performed well. I like how they have to add that The Summer I Turned Pretty did well too, as if that's some kind of evidence that maybe transforming comic book material so that it's appealing to males again isn't the way to go, when in fact, this proves my damn point. Dudes like movies like Reacher, Jack Ryan, The Terminal List. Look at the names of those things and then compare them to The Summer I Turned Pretty. That is what females typically enjoy, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some gals might like action movies, and some dudes might like romantic comedies, but those are outliers, and it is stupid as hell to try to change what is coded into our freaking DNA. But then the article says Sony currently has another Spideyverse title in circulation, with Dakota Johnson starring in Madam Web in theaters this week. The film opened to poor reviews and is largely expected to underperform. And there it is, folks. They are finally seeing the writing on the wall. Madam Web's box office calamity is pushing these bozos into admitting the truth. They can only lose so many hundreds of millions of dollars before reality asserts itself. These action flicks starring 100-pound women beating up 250-pound men don't sell. It's as stupid as trying to market Barbie to men. It ain't gonna work. But this is how serious it is. The article tells us that Sony is changing course even though they already had multiple episodes written for this Silk show, and even though they might be pissing off the Writers Guild of America by pausing their writers' room and letting some of these writers go. Making the WGA angry seems unwise after last year's strike, but this may be a sign of how well Sony has learned their lessons from Madam Web. They aren't willing to lose hundreds of millions more dollars to pander to their imagined audience. The Marvels told us this story already. Madam Web is the exclamation point. Stop trying to push this crap on your audience. We have minds of our own, and if you don't give us the sort of material we actually like, it turns out you won't push our asses into movie theater seats.
Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your captain is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.